Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness unto light. Lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. Namaste and good morning, everybody, and welcome. Yes. So we are here for a session of questions and answers. We get all these questions from all over the world, and our brave team goes through these questions and classifies some of them and presents some of them here. And we also take questions from the live audience here. Diane is here with some of the selections for this morning. What do we have today?
The first letter is from Avirup Chakraborty from Gurugram, India. I'm immensely impacted by the line in the Ashtavakra Gita, Yatha prakasayati aiko dehamanam tata jagit. Contemplating this, I find that non-dualism can take these two independent routes. I am all of it, or I am none of it. When I take the first route, I feel an unbroken sense of love for all beings, as they are the same being that is in me. This love often feels non-dual, as if the whole creation is a manifestation of the same unbroken love. However, when I take the none of it route, I feel a strong detachment from the same beings. Am I going wrong somewhere? All non-dual doctrines that embrace all of it, such as Sufism, spoke highly of love, whereas those that followed the none of it route, like Gaudapada's teachings, did not seem to emphasize love. Am I correct in my understanding?
All right. There are these two ways of looking at non-duality. This is a verse from the Ashtavakra Gita, which he has quoted, a very well-known verse. I have often quoted it myself. It goes like this. It says that, tell me the first. Yatha prakashayati eko deham enam tatha jagat. Ata mama jagat sarvam nacha kinchana athava nacha kinchana. So, what does it mean? The whole universe is presented to me at once. What does that mean? Think about waking up in the morning when you come to an awareness of the waking world. So, my mind, thoughts and feelings, this body, the bed I'm sleeping on, the room, this world is presented to me in a flash. And so the whole world is presented to me at once. And my attitude can be, I am all of it, or all of it is mine, because it's all presented to me together. Or none of it. I am the consciousness in which the entire universe appears. See, the purpose of this verse, first we must grasp before diving deeper into it. The purpose of this verse is to cut our tight attachment to this body-mind. What we do is, I am this, and the rest of it is not me. I am this, and the rest of it is not me. The rest of it is separate from me. And then samsara starts. I am this person, and this is the world. Now this, notice, this goes contrary to the to the presentation of the universe to me, my first direct experience of the universe is all of this, including this, all of this, the body, senses, mind, and the world, all of it appears in consciousness. But then, very naturally, we make this distinction. I am up to this, within the skin, I am. The thoughts and feelings which I get, this I am. And the rest of it is not me. Some of it is mine, and some of it is not mine. This is samsara. This leads to samsara. And this verse tries to cut it down, using the logic that the entire objective universe is presented to me at once. Now you can think of it in these two ways. So whatever is presented to me, this body, this mind, this world, the known and the unknown, all of it is I or mine, or none of it is I or mine. I am the witness consciousness, both ways. Swami Vivekananda had this experience after the touch of Sri Ramakrishna, this non-dual experience, his first profound non-dual experience, when he felt the whole world, everything is Brahman. So he went back home, he felt everything is at one divine reality. And sometimes all the food would seem to him to be the same. That means he's seeing the food, he's eating the food, he can see himself also, experience himself, and yet it all seems absolutely one reality. And then he said it shifted a little afterwards. After a day or two, it shifted. What was the shift? It now appeared that the whole of this was like a dream. So I am that one consciousness, that Brahman, and this entire universe is dream-like in me. Now you see the two. In one, there is one limitless existence which I am. In the next one, I am that limitless existence, but in that, this whole thing is presented like a dream. Let us understand this a little more. We'll dive a little more into this. A classic example from Vedanta. It says the snake and the rope, but a little extended example, which you actually find used in texts. So, think that there is a rope somewhere in the semi-darkness, and somebody comes and sees. People pass by and they see that, but they don't know. They see that something is there, but they don't know what it is. Somebody said, "Oh, there's a snake there. Be careful." Another person said, "No, there is a garland, flower garland. Somebody has thrown it away from the temple." A third person said, "No, it's a crack. The ground is very dry, so there's a crack in the ground." Now the person, all the time it's just the rope. It's not a snake, it's not a garland, it's not a crack in the ground. Now the wise person who knows this, who wants to tell them what it is, can do so in two ways. Can say, it's not a snake, it's not a garland, it's not a crack in the ground. It's a rope. Or can say, the rope and the crack in the ground and the snake are one and the same. Not the rope, sorry. The garland, the crack in the ground, and the snake are one and the same. It's a rope. You can say they are all the same thing, that rope. Or you can say none of them exist. It's a rope. Both mean the same thing. In both ways you can approach the same thing. So this is the example used in Vedanta. The question might be, why go through all this? Why don't you just say it's a rope? You can't. Because none of those people who went by it earlier, those three people, none of them saw it as a rope. They saw it as a garland or a snake or a crack in the ground. And if you say it's a rope, they'll start looking for a rope somewhere else. The rope is right there. It's an error which has to be corrected. Now you can correct it by neti, denying it. What you saw, that's not it. There's something else there, denying it. It's not a snake. It's not a garland. It's not a crack in the ground. It's a rope. Or you can affirm it. You can say, whatever you saw, all of that is actually one reality, which is the rope. Then you'll have to look for the underlying reality, which is the ground of that snake and the garland and the crack in the ground. Or you can deny the appearance and see the reality. So both ways, this verse, that's what this verse is talking about. There's a great importance of this. Now he talks about love. When you see this whole universe as Brahman, I am Brahman. After that, what happens is, the universe still appears. And when the universe is appearing, this body, this personality also will appear. And you, as the enlightened person, through this personality, you will be looking at this universe, which is, you see it as, you know that it is nothing but you. And then the feeling of love will arise. So oneness, this metaphysical or ontological oneness, will be experienced by the enlightened one as an all-encompassing love. All the distinctions will be appearances. Underlying it will be one reality, and you are that one reality. So the whole thing is one with you. You feel one with the entire universe. Or the whole universe feels one with you. And so it will be expressed as love. It will be felt as love and expressed as love. And expressed as service, as worship. Now we can understand Sri Ramakrishna's Shiva Jnana Jiva Seva. To worship Shiva in all sentient beings. How do you worship? Through service. To be of some good to others. Swami Ranganathanji would say that when you close your eyes in meditation, you feel peace. Are you feeling peace in meditation? And when you open your eyes, are you growing in love? So it is expressed in service towards all beings, and you feel peace within. Then you're growing in spirituality. It's very good markers. Now notice these two. None of it is me. You dismiss all of it, remain centered in one limitless self, the pure consciousness. Then that is what Ranganathanji calls peace within. When you open your eyes, you see that one reality spread out before you in all these forms. And your heart is poured out in love to all of them, compassion to all of them. Compassion, love, whichever way you call it. And it's expressed as service. It's the same thing. Either all of it is mine or none of it. But all of it is mine, all of it I am, all of it is mine. This leads to the feeling of love. The other way around, it's not that you will not have feeling of love, you will have the feeling of peace. Of being centered in one reality. But both of them are the same thing. This is also the ground of ethics. Why should I be good? Why should I be loving? Why should I be compassionate? Because of this feeling, I feel one there, no matter who they are, how they are, whether they are related to me or not. It is this one reality shining in all these ways. And therefore, in my day-to-day activities, that feeling of oneness will be expressed as ethical life, as ethical action, especially as compassion, service, love, non-violence. Let's do one more. Yes.
The questioner talks about detachment with a none of it.
Yes. So one more part of it was that if when I feel I'm none of it, I don't feel that love. It's a kind of detachment. There is one caution here. The caution is our natural tendency is to identify with this body and mind. One must be very careful. For a very long time, this tendency will remain within us. So when I say I am none of it, what am I thinking of? What does that I refer to? Does that I often, does it refer to limitless consciousness, Brahman? Or does it refer to this body and mind? So I am this body and mind, and the whole world is a dream. I have nothing to do with all of this. This is a dream. I am at peace by myself. No. That is not correct. If I am this body and mind, then there is a material universe existing in front of me. You can't deny that. So then that kind of thinking will lead to alienation, to unhappiness. Can I think that way, that I am peaceful by myself, the whole world is a dream, let me forget about it? It won't let you forget. Because when I say I am this body, you have caught hold of a part of the snake. You have caught hold of the tail of the snake. The head won't leave you alone. It will turn around and bite you. I've caught hold of this part and I say the rest of it is false. No, it won't work. So, alienation, the first sign is the disappearance of love externally and peace internally. That's why a private spirituality does not work very well. I am spiritual, happy by myself, I don't care about anything else, anybody else. Won't work. Somehow you'll be unhappy. And that shows that somehow deeply we are connected with the whole world. All right, the next part of it.
This question is from Kashama Rangarajan from Bangalore, India. I am an initiated disciple of Prabhu Maharaj. Sometimes it is said that in Advaita, bhakti is only an accessory to Jnana Yoga. However, Swami Sarvapriyananda, in his book on bhakti, distinguishes between guni bhakti and parabhakti, the latter being the acme of mystical experience and an end in itself. The parabhakti of mystics and gopis is even more difficult and humanly impossible than Advaita sadhana. Sri Thakur and Swamiji have said this, and so has Madhusudana Saraswati. You have hinted at this as well. Does Advaita sadhana also regard this guni bhakti as an aid in jnana yoga and not parabhakti? How can one balance reason and surrender in our sadhana?
Yeah. So she mentions Prabhu Maharaj, Swami Vireshwarananda ji. So Revered Swami Vireshwarananda ji was the 10th president of our order. So she is a disciple of Prabhu Maharaj. All right. This question has multiple parts. One is love of God, devotion as an accessory or a help to knowledge. Is that true? Yes. Advaita Vedanta strongly recommends a deep faith and love of God as very helpful to Advaita realization. Why? Often at the beginning, not often, always at the beginning, Advaita is taken as an understanding, as something that happens in the intellect. We understand who we are and what this world is. And that's fine. But notice, often the intellect and the heart are separated. We can lead two levels of life, one an intellectual life and one at the level of the heart. At the level of the heart means emotions, feelings. So, our desires, vasanas, they are at the level of the heart. It's what the heart wants. It could well be possible that I understand I am limitless consciousness, but the heart wants a cookie. I have a desire to taste and touch and smell and see and enjoy life in various different ways. I have a desire for appreciation. I have a desire for love from others. All of the ordinary worldly, the human wants, those continue. Whereas my understanding, maybe I am an impersonal consciousness. These two will be separate, and they will create endless trouble in spiritual life. So my understanding will go one way, my heart will go the other way. I think Plato said, to know the good is to be good. And we immediately say that doesn't seem to be true. That's true only when the heart and the intellect are aligned. To know the good is to want the good and to be good. But if the heart and the intellect are not aligned, the intellect knows the good, but the heart doesn't want the good. So I know what is good, but I don't want it. I know what is bad, but I want it. Somehow they don't align. And that's the condition for most of us. In that case, bhakti is extraordinarily useful. One way bhakti means love of God. What does love do? It is the desires of the heart. Love addresses that. It's the desires of the heart which are channeled towards God. So the desires of the heart are of the form, I want. I want. And this I want usually is, I want the world. Now what bhakti does is pushes the world aside and puts God there. So I want is directed towards God. And that I want directed towards God is no obstacle to non-dual realization. In fact, is a great support to non-dual realization. One sadhu put it this way. Somebody asked more or less the same question about devotion and knowledge. but they put it in the way it's often put in India, sakar, nirakar, formless and with form. Is the knowledge of the formless, that is what I want. So devotion to God with form, what do I have to do with it? And the sadhu said, Babu, tum to ho nirakar, phase kahan par ho? You are yourself formless. I mean, only the body has a form. But look at your mind, thoughts. That doesn't have a physical form. It has a mental form. And go beyond that to consciousness, which it's always obviously that's there. That's formless. Your very nature is formless. But where are you trapped? Where are you caught? Where are you entangled? In forms. So where our problem is, there the solution has to come. Our problem is in this world of forms and names and people and personalities, in this world of diversity. We need something here which will solve the problem here. And the worship of God with form does that very powerfully. The devotional approach to spirituality, what is called the theistic approach, which you find in a wide range in Hinduism, you find it in Christianity, Islam, Judaism, all the theistic religions of the world. So bhakti helps there. If you're trapped in forms, then only devotion to God with form will free you from there, from that situation. So, that question, what help does bhakti give in Advaita sadhana? It is very helpful. It purifies the mind. Plus, there are many other benefits. There is a great benefit of the support of God. If you love God, the love of God becomes manifest in your life. God loves us anyway, whether we love God or not. That's why we have all of this. But if you love God, the love of God manifests in our life. It gives us strength to do sadhana, spiritual practice on the strength of this one little personality. It's too hard a task. You need the support of the infinite. You need the support of the God of religion, the omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent. God takes care of us. It's a great psychological support. It's also a great support in terms of the material universe. It's a great power which removes obstacles on our path. That purification of the mind, which is essential for Advaitic realization, it can be done by us, but it's extremely difficult. But it's done by an act of grace by God. And that is mediated by love of God. So there are many, many benefits. The reason why Advaita teachers traditionally always recommend a devout life. It's very compatible with Advaitic knowledge. Shankaracharya, you see, endless hymns, stotras. There are hymns to Vishnu, to Devi, to Shiva, to Krishna, to Rama, to Jagannath, to Ganesha. So many hymns and to the different gods and goddesses, all full of extraordinary devotion. Bhaja Govindam, everybody knows. Shankaracharya, the great non-dualist. Now, is it always an accessory to Advaita Vedanta? No. She mentions parabhakti, the highest love of God. The love that the gopis had for Krishna. Parabhakti, prema bhakti, these are the words used. That is not an accessory to anything. That love is not what Advaita Vedanta talks about. Advaita Vedanta talks about our conventional love of God. Even the conventional love of God has to be separated from the more worldly kind of devotion to God, which is a transactional devotion. I love you, I will worship you, and you do these things for me. I have a shopping list. No, let's not laugh at it, because that is mass religion, basically. And that's a concession to human weakness, and Sri Krishna fully approves of it. In the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna says, I have 4 kinds of devotees. Those who are in trouble, artha. People come to me when they are in trouble, when they are suffering. And that's all right. He says it's perfectly all right. And he says they are my devotees. Second, people come to me when they want something. They are not in trouble, but they want something more. And third, people come to me when they are seeking enlightenment, jigyasu. They don't want anything in this world. They're not concerned about this world. They're not even in trouble in this world, but they're seeking enlightenment. And finally, he says the 4th kind of devotee, the one who loves God, is the one who is enlightened. The one who has non-dual knowledge, that person also loves God. And that's the true lover of God, because for that person alone, God is real now. Before that, all we believe. But that person, there is not a question of belief. That person knows. It's a fact, the greatest fact. So, this is the conventional love of God, which is highly recommended for people on the path of non-duality also. But beyond this, there's the supreme love of God, a madness which you see in the life of Sri Ramakrishna, which you see in the life of Meera and the lovers of God. That is not an accessory to anything else. That is independent and by itself, and it's enough. In fact, that lover of God will not be interested in our non-duality and realizing I am Brahman. That will be tasteless for that lover of God. So it's not an accessory. The two words used here are Gauni Bhakti and Parabhakti. Gauni is secondary devotion. Secondary means it is ritualistic, and there is prayer, there are certain forms, there are times of worship, there are certain rules. And Parabhakti is that madness of love. There are no rules. You have gone beyond that. You are living, you are burning in the love of God. You see that in the lives of the mystics of all religions. So that is not an accessory to anything. That's very rare. That's rarer than non-dual knowledge. There's a song which Sri Ramakrishna was fond of, where God is singing that I give mukti, moksha, nirvana easily, but I'm stingy about love. I don't give that easily. I love all of you, but your love for me, that I don't give easily. I can give knowledge, and you can be free. But that special love of God, when you are lit up by the love of God, a kind of madness about God, that I don't give easily, he says. Mukti dite kator noi, bhakti dite kator hoi. That is the Bengali song. Yes.
At the end, she actually asks, how can we balance reason and surrender in our sadhana?
Reason first, in Advaita Vedanta, reason first, surrender finally. So reason first shows us that I am not the body, not the mind. I am this limitless existence, consciousness place. Now again you will be back in the body and mind. The world will continue, this life will continue. What do you do then? So Swami Turiyanandaji again and again in his letters of Swami Turiyananda shows us that realize that you are Brahman. And then you are again back in this world. Rest of your life is a play with the Divine Mother. You surrender to the Divine Mother. So this great non-dualist Turiyanandaji, how did he live his life? You see his letters full of mother, mother. It's all the play of mother. Who is he? A staunch non-dualist. Whatever the problems which come and go in life, your own, for the enlightened person or spiritual person, their own problems don't matter much. They are all right. They surrendered it to the mother. Others' problems also, all sorrows, they struggle to remove the sufferings of others, but also surrender everything to the mother. They know everything here, they feel it. It's the play of one divine consciousness. So, Sri Ramakrishna said, this is my ripe opinion, a pakamat. What is the ripe opinion? It's what is a flag? It's a flag. A flag means pay attention to this. He says, realize the absolute, that you are Brahman. And then spend the rest of your life, stay in this world. He says, bhakti bhakto bhagavanye. Bhakti, love of God. Bhakta with the devotees of God. Bhagavan with the beloved Lord. Spend the rest of your life like that. And he says, ei pakamat. This is my ripe opinion. My ultimate opinion, my final opinion, good advice. Now, one might say that, but I haven't realized the absolute yet. All right, so we are on the path of realizing the absolute, but keep this as a framework. Until I reach that, I will keep God, devotion, devotees around me. In this milieu of love of God, I will live. And walk on, if you're particularly inclined to the path of non-dual realization, we will walk on that. And having reached what we wanted, having gotten what we wanted, we'll continue on the same way, with love of God, with the devotees of God, and with the beloved God. Any questions from the live audience? We'll start at the back. Yes, please come. You come up here. There's a chair in front. Please tell us your name and ask the question.
My name is Prem Krishnamurthy, and I have a question. You mentioned parabhakti, the madness of love. And I'm curious, especially in these times where there are so many problems we're facing, people are facing so many mental problems too. Can you speak of the relationship between what is called madness or insanity and parabhakti itself?
Yeah. So madness of love, it seems like a person mad, or in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna Kathamrita, you'll often see the word as if intoxicated. It's not quite in the normal senses. The person doesn't seem quite normal. Now, I can't directly speak to mental illness, not being a mental health professional, but often what I've seen is that a lot of, if it is pathological, if it is illness, a lot of it comes from our worldliness. It could come from physical reasons also, from some defects. Swami Prabhavananda ji in the Vedanta Center of Hollywood long ago in the 1960s, 70s, I saw a published piece where it says he was quite convinced that it's rooted in physical problems in the brain. A lot of mental illness is rooted there. It's not that the person is to blame. It's like any physical illness. So that also can lead to mental problems. Also, often, a lot of pathology is rooted in worldliness. I have strong worldly tendencies for worldly enjoyment. And if I suppress them and think that I am being spiritual, there might be a peculiar combination of the both. So I might have some experiences, some spiritual feelings, quote unquote, and yet also exhibit signs of mental illness. One sign which differentiates true love of God from mental illness would be mental illness is illness, it's suffering. There's great suffering. And the true love of God is joy, is bliss. Ranganathanji says, do you feel peace within and do you radiate it around you? If I'm suffering from some deep mental pathology, I will have no peace within. And I will not radiate that. I'll radiate chaos around me. Other people will be disturbed, will feel that suffering which is being radiated around. Whereas those of us who are lucky enough to have met genuine mystics, genuinely spiritual people, one thing is automatic. You feel purified and uplifted in their very presence. That's there. And that's what everybody would feel in the presence of Sri Ramakrishna, for example. A kind of divine upliftment. It would radiate that around. Not disturbance or chaos or unhappiness.
May I ask a very brief follow-up?
Yes.
Because, thank you, that is very helpful. I'm curious because so many people who are considered mystics, for example, are often judged to be insane or mad. And so my question is about that relationship of the mystical experience with that which many people who have quote unquote madness experience, which is this feeling of oneness, this feeling of consciousness, this feeling of non-duality, or a connection to that.
A genuine feeling of oneness or non-duality will also be reflected in changes in character, changes in behavior. Often we find numerous reports of mystical spiritual experiences not reflected in change in life or behavior. The person may even feel uplifted for a while, may feel very exalted, uplifted for a while, but then comes crashing down, back to the same old person or even worse. I remember meeting this gentleman who had come from Australia or somewhere, come to our main monastery. And he was standing there, obviously very distraught, very shaken, little scruffy. And he was saying that, I have had it all. I have visions of Ramakrishna and Jesus and Buddha. And I said, very good. What do you want now? And he was taken aback. Yes, what do you want from us? You have got everything. You're the most enlightened person in the world. He looked stunned. And then I still remember, The poor, it's very, it evokes sympathy. Because then he said, having been brought down to earth, he said, I have a terrible fear of dying. I feel I'm going to die now. It's not really visions of Jesus or Ramakrishna or Buddha. It's pathological. That fear of dying, that's the truth. And that person needs help. Yeah. The genuine mystic doesn't need our help. We need his or her help. It leads to a tremendous transformation of character, which that person feels, and other persons also feel around them. One way of verifying for oneself is the long-term effect of these experiences. Over a long term, is it making me into a saint? And sorry to sound quaint, but that's the best word even now. Is it making me into a saint? If it is, it's genuine. If it is not, it might be pleasant and it's good. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
One more question. Please come.
Namaste, Swamiji. My name is Shiva. I've got a question that's about 2 minutes, 10 seconds long, so please bear with me. My question is about the epistemic structure of Advaita. It seems that Advaita has taken the problems with Sankhya, Buddhism, etc., and outsourced them all to Maya, keeping Brahman untouched and unblemished. One cannot question Brahman because it is nirguna and nishkriya. One cannot question Maya because the question itself is wrong. Space, time, and causation are within Maya, so one cannot ask why Maya. And within Maya itself, Advaita defers all explanations to science. So the question is, what can one ask of Advaita? That got me thinking about the principle of falsifiability. Advaita as a knowledge-based system should have a principle of falsifiability, like any scientific hypothesis. What is that for Advaita? Now, before you answer the question, though, I want to preemptively rule out 3 common responses, I would think. One, unlike science that deals with empirical evidence and objectifies everything, Advaita deals with the pure subject or pure consciousness. 2, Panchadasi and other texts begin with the normal I sense. Since it is a direct first-person experience based, it doesn't need falsifiability. But as it builds on from there, first-person experience is therefore not subject to falsifiability principles. And lastly, as one probes deeper into Advaita, we come across paradoxes, at which point we've heard you talk about there's no more explanation possible. It is then up to the intuition to take a final turn towards oneself. So should we accept some fundamental assumptions like Brahman, Jiva, Maya, and so on as axiomatic, similar to how science accepts numbers, and not question them? Given these three caveats, does Advaita have a genuine falsifiability criteria, or is it a simply logically consistent but self-sealing system?
Excellent question.
It's difficult. Questions are becoming more and more difficult. The question itself is logically consistent and self-sealing. Yeah. All right. Very well put. I remember having a similar discussion with a well-known mathematician, Marcus du Sautoy. He teaches pure mathematics at Oxford University. He's written a number of books. This question of falsifiability, we had some discussion. I remember vaguely. All right. Falsifiability, is it Kuhn's criterion?
No, Swami, it was somebody else. I read about it.
Popper, Kuhn, Thomas Kuhn? It's part of the philosophy of science that a genuine scientific theory should have a falsifiability criterion. That you can, suppose you can design an experiment, at least theoretically, which can prove it this way or that way. It could falsify that theory. Then it's a genuine theory. If it's a theory which is true no matter what, then it's more likely to be what mathematicians or logicians call trivial. Yeah. Oh, who?
Koch's postulates.
Koch.
We talk about proving something and disproving something.
Yes.
And that meets scientific criteria.
Popper's, Popper. I thought it was Popper. Popper is a philosopher of science. So either Kuhn or Popper. Cone is paradigm shift. That the Popper is that falsifiability criterion. So any genuine scientific proposition should be falsifiable. Is Advaita falsifiable? No, it's not. If you understand it carefully, what it's trying to say, it is inevitable. It is necessary. But only if you understand it. And why? What are the logical reasons? One is, from the perspective of the enlightened one, it's an obvious fact. I'll give you two perspectives, our perspective and the enlightened one's perspective. From the enlightened one's perspective, it's an obvious fact. An enlightened one will say, come up with your falsifiability theories, your alternative explanations of the state of existence, what we experience, and he will disprove all of that. So classic example is the text Khandana Khanda Khadya, written about 1,000 years ago by a great Advaita philosopher, Sri Harsha. What he does in that book, instead of trying to prove Advaita, he disproves every possible theory. What are the alternative theories, the dualistic theories of the Nyaya and so on and so forth, whatever were current 1,000 years ago. It's regarded as one of the toughest books to crack, very difficult. But this approach is called in Indian logic as Vitanda. Vitanda means, I have no independent thesis to prove. But whatever you say is wrong. I'll prove, whatever you say, I'll prove it wrong. The Vitanda can be used in different ways. One is used by Sri Harsha to show that every alternative explanation is wrong. So Advaita remains self-proved. Anyway, where does that leave the falsifiability criterion? What Advaita epistemology, what it will say about the falsifiability criterion is that that is a very good criterion when your thesis is about something objective. The state of affairs can be this way or that way with regard to the objective world. Now note, proving and disproving are done to consciousness. You, the conscious being, a proof reveals its results to you, or a disproving reveals its results to you. But in both cases, the consciousness is the witness. Can you disprove consciousness? You cannot. There are two sides to it. One is the cogito ergo sum of Descartes. You cannot dispute your own existence. To do that, you will reveal your own existence. But if you go a little further, put it in Advaitic terms, the same thing is there. To disprove consciousness, you will need consciousness. To cancel something, to prove something as false, it will be proved to consciousness. So if you say consciousness does not exist, consciousness is the witness of that statement, and immediately it's self-falsifying. So the criterion of falsifiability operates, but there is an area in which it operates. All scientific theories are about the universe of objects. And there, the criterion of falsifiability is a very powerful criterion to apply. Is there a genuine statement being made about how things are in the world? Are they this way or that way? And but both this way and that way are presented to one consciousness. So that cannot be disproved. Does that deal with your question?
That's one of the three exclusions I said. Please
Yes.
don't.
No, the exclusion you said was the first exclusion, which you talked about in Panchadashi.
No, that was second. The first one was that science deals with objectifies everything, while
Yes.
this is pure consciousness. So that's the answer that you just did.
Yes, but then notice what I'm doing is the falsifiability criterion I'm pushing into the world of objects, and which it is obviously so. Why this seems unacceptable to a scientific mind is the scientific mind thinks all reality is objective. Whereas Advaita says the universe of reality, the objective universe of reality, phenomenologically speaking, in our world of experience, is presented to consciousness. So consciousness must be a given reality before we accept the world of objects. Let's bring in arguments against materialism here. I'm bringing in an argument from a thinker, Bernardo Kastrup here. He says, in 4 steps, to expose the strangeness of the materialistic reductionist claim that everything must be in the world of objects, and therefore falsifiability criterion also will apply. So he says, just look at the claim. 4 steps. The first step is, I am conscious. Consciousness is there, and I am conscious. That is obvious. Nobody denies it. The materialist also does not deny it. The idealist also does not deny it. Idealist, in fact, claims that, begins there. So I am consciousness, or I am conscious. That's very clear to all of us. Step 1 is clear to all of us, and nobody ever denies it. Second step, there are others like me who are conscious. This is, you're already relaxing your logical rigor a little bit. Why? Because although others are there, I can see, I don't have direct access to their consciousness. This in Vedanta, in philosophy, is called the problem of other minds. How do I know? Only inferentially I can sort of judge that they are conscious. Why is this acceptable? It's acceptable because on the criterion of repeatability, it has happened at least once. In my own case, I see I am conscious. I can directly experience. And I can see similar beings like me. They're similar to me. They behave, they look like me, they behave similarly. So I can accept at a stretch, little jump, that they are also conscious just like me. Second step. Already we have relaxed the logic rigor a little bit. Third step, even further. This world of objects which appears is real and independent and exists external to consciousness, for which there is no actual proof in experience. Right. And there cannot be. That's the thing. You can't jump out of consciousness for anything. Consciousness is global. True. All knowledge and ignorance is knowledge and ignorance to consciousness. If their argument is that, no, there is so many things which are outside consciousness. You don't experience the world outside the building. But I experience it as the unknown world, right, in my consciousness. So the whole universe divides neatly into the known. Right now, known by me, I mean something very paltry like sensory experience. And unknown, the vast unknown around me. Here itself also so many things are unknown. But they are all known and unknown in consciousness. So that is the third step which materialism demands. Materialist says, we insist there is a world independent of consciousness. And the fourth, most scandalous of all, this unprovable, unestablishable world independent of consciousness is the one which is generating all our conscious experiences. Indeed, it is the one which is generating this body, life, brain, and through that brain consciousness. Epistemologically speaking, this is atrocious. Yeah. But this is where we are. Whereas Advaita Vedanta has what Vivekananda calls an internal mandate. If you go the other way, start with consciousness, then everything is presented to consciousness. In the world of objects presented to consciousness, you can do science to your heart's content. There's no problem at all. But just accept that it is a world appearing to consciousness. And then you can relate it back to consciousness. That's where the cutting edge thought comes in, how can we relate this world of objects to consciousness? Advaita Vedanta is a very simple way of relating the world of objects to consciousness. It must be consciousness in some way, this world of consciousness. I am consciousness, no doubt. And these objects, these are appearing to me in consciousness, there's no doubt. But what is the nature of these objects? Independent, separate material existences? Appearances dreamlike in consciousness? Or consciousness alone appearing in all these names and forms? Advaita Vedanta says the last one must be true. Why? Because otherwise you are left with a dualism. See, on one hand, if you take the pure materialist reductionist view, then you are left with the twin problems of whether matter at all exists independently of consciousness. That would be one problem. Then from matter back to consciousness, that's the hard problem of consciousness. So you'll have two huge problems philosophically. The problem of idealism and the hard problem of consciousness. Whereas if you start with consciousness and you say material universe is there and consciousness is there, you will have the problem of dualism. That is, how do two completely different entities, consciousness and matter, how do they interact? Descartes had the problem, and much deeper problem, ancient problem, is the Sankhyan dualism, Prakriti and Purusha. And Shankara solves this by saying that matter is an appearance in consciousness. Therefore, matter and consciousness are the same thing. And hence, there is no interaction problem. Shankara does this by his theory of superimposition, adhyasa. Just like a rope is appearing as a snake, it is consciousness appearing as matter. And that makes possible this experience of life. I think it's pretty neat, logically, yes. Now, practically your question is, what do we do? Do we need to start with some postulates? That's what the Upanishads are. Here are the experiences of the enlightened ones. They give you a framework. Walk along that until you see for yourself. Once you see for yourself, you don't even need the Upanishads. You don't need those postulates. It's an undeniable fact blazing forth before you and supported by reason. The reason will immediately fall into place. We'll show you how this is. And the reason will be a way of, like a rope ladder, way up to that realization. It will point it out to you. But because it is you yourself, it is your own innermost reality and self-luminous, at one point, all that the reason does is remove our wrong conception, which is hiding the truth from us. Once that wrong conception is wiped out, the truth is always self-luminous. Okay, but it's a very deep question. You need a whole book to answer this.
Thank you so much.
Yes. The lady there, yes. And then we'll ask. After that, you can come. Yes. Tell us your name and ask the question.
Good morning, Swami.
Good morning.
My name is Jane. If it's okay, and I'll be succinct. I'd like to share an experience about the song Satyam Jnanam Anandam Brahma. Since you also mentioned it a couple of times recently, and a question about asking questions. So when I first heard the Mahavakya song, it was here last year, and tears came down my face without control and without any known reasons. Never had that happened, let alone a song. It was only later I found out the meaning of the Mahavakya. The question I have about asking questions is, if I continue to have questions that seem to fall into categories of frequently asked questions, does that mean the progress is slow? And then ironically, I also wonder if there are any questions at all that Swamiji yourself wish that we would ask or ask more often. Thank you.
I like that.
Now, no, I mean that quite sincerely, because any genuine question coming from your heart is a doorway to realization. There are two ways of answering a question. Most questions, in Vedanta, for example, I can give you a scholarly answer from a book. There are theories and arguments. I can give you that. Quotations from the Upanishads. I can give you stories from enlightened people. Or the answer can use your question to lead us back step by step to your innermost reality. So these are two ways of doing it. The second one is what a skilled teacher does. It's usually an enlightened master who can do that very well, very powerfully. What you said first, when you heard Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, tears came to your eyes. It's true. Even without a background in Vedanta, when we hear these pointers that you are that, simple as that, without explaining what that means, you are that, or I am that, or you are the infinite, you are that to which the entire universe appears, or the whole universe is nothing but you. in these ways, these teachings about oneness or our own inner reality, it calls to something within us. Something within us recognizes the truth. That's why there's a very strong emotional reaction. But then it must be followed up by spiritual practice to make it an abiding presence in our lives. Make it your own possession. Right? Even a great spiritual master like Sri Ramakrishna can induce genuine mystical experiences. But after that, the person still has to do some work to stabilize that experience. Swami Brahmananda, Swami Shivananda, they all did intense spiritual practices and austerities after the passing of Sri Ramakrishna. Somebody asked Swami Brahmananda, why are you doing all this? Because Sri Ramakrishna, gave you all these experiences. Swami Brahmananda said, yes, but now what he gave us, we are trying to make it our own. Yes. So that's very good that we feel a response from within. And we must follow it up with consistent spiritual practice, with devotion, with japa, with meditation, with study, and with a life of, ethical life of service. These are the powerful practices which makes spiritual realization real for us and sustainable. Questions are important. One philosopher, Arindam Chakravarti actually, once he told me, stay with the question, Swami. Stay with the question. Upanishads often start with questions. And we find, this is a really cool question. I want to know the answer. The little boy Nachiketa asks in Kathopanishad, is there anything after death? He goes to death and asks this question. Some people say there is something after death. Some people say there is nothing after death. You are death itself, yourself. So you know the answer. Who can teach me better about death than yourself? Please tell me what's there after that. And we are eager to turn the pages quickly. Come to the answer. Or in the Kena Upanishad, which we read recently, by what light are our thoughts? Are we able to think? Is this mind able to think? Are these eyes able to see? Are these words being formed? And we want to know, yes, I want to know that. And we move on. But in the Mundaka Upanishad, we find the question the student asks, Sir, what is that by knowing which everything is known? Kasminnu bhagavo vigyate sarvamidam vigyatam bhavati iti. Sir, what is that by knowing which everything here is known? And we want to, I want to know that one thing. It saves me a lot of trouble, a lot of reading. If I can know one thing, I can know everything. But the philosopher said, stay with the question, Swami. The question, if you want, we must savor the profound nature of the question. First of all, we must make it our question. Then only the answers will be meaningful and deep. But also often, the answers are also already in the question. When we study the Upanishad, and we enjoy the Upanishad and the commentaries, various interpretations, meanings, and we get some insight, much later when we look back, when we see all of this was already in the question. Right? So it's a good question that you have asked about questions. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. The lady there. Please tell us your name and ask the question.
Good day. My name is Hesna Muhammad, and I'm really not sure how to ask the question. It's about unconditional love. Is there, or what circumstance does one not consider unconditional love as the way to move or be? Should we always practice unconditional love, or is there a time when that is not wise or safe? Or
yes. Before I go into it, the moment you say unconditional, you're already given up ideas of safety. So the truly, genuinely, the person who loves unconditionally doesn't care about his or her own safety. But that's at the end. Let's start at the beginning. Everybody values love. It starts with wanting to be loved rather than giving love, but wanting to be loved. children, it's very natural for children to want and need love. It's interesting. Who loves more, children or parents? But parents, yes. You don't have to be hesitant about it. There's no doubt about it. Our parents loved us much more than we loved our parents back. Maybe we love them more when we grow up and we begin to understand them more, and then we love them more. As kids, we sort of took them for granted. Maybe we were affectionate, but all right. So, but it's strange. It's parents who do everything for the children. And children should be much more grateful and love parents much more, because they don't do anything for the parents. The parents do everything for us. But it's the other way around. And that shows us something interesting about love. The more you do something for somebody or some cause or some organization, whatever you're doing for, the more we serve, more we give, the more we love. It sounds counterintuitive. It should be that more we receive, more we should love. We are not very grateful creatures. But if we give, we love. More we love, more we give, more we sacrifice, more we serve, more we invest our time, energy, our life into, more we love that thing, that person, that place, that work, that creation, whatever it is, wherever your love is thrown. We love that more. So it begins with wanting love, that's preliminary. That is childlike or childish. Very soon it grows into a mature form of love, where you give love. But you also want love in return. It's a little bit transactional. Often that is, friends, spouse, partners, that kind of thing is there. I benefit from your love and appreciation, but I also give my love and appreciation and service. That's normal. That's decent. That's what holds human society together. But there's something higher than that. What you said is unconditional love. To love without asking for anything in return. Where you become more and more, you become love itself. And that unconditional love no longer looks for return, because that unconditional love is more return than anybody else could give. It is so full of joy, so full of, it makes your life meaningful. So once one tastes a little bit of that, without any philosophy also, philosophy can help, but once one tastes a little bit of that, it makes your life immediately meaningful. A monk said this once, talking about the different forms of spiritual practice. He said, do you want to be happy right now and continuously happy and maximally happy? Yes. Fall in love with God. Fall in love, it will make you happy. But with human beings, it is mixed with a lot of unhappiness. But fall in love with God. Or another way, unconditional love. It will make you happy right now and maximally so. Immediately happy if you love. If love is there in the heart, happiness is immediate. Second, he says, do you want peace? Yes. Then meditate. Shut down the world, quieten the body and the senses, silence the speech, quieten the mind. In that serenity, in the silence, you will find peace. Meditation gives you peace. And finally goes on, do you want truth? Then come to Advaita. What is real? But back to unconditional love. Just 2 more points and then I'll stop. Unconditional love will also be expressed as service. I quoted Swami Ranganathananda there, that when you close your eyes, do you feel peace within? When you open your eyes, do you feel love? Is it expressed as service? Is the attitude, what can I do for you? And I feel myself gratified, glorified, fulfilled by being able to love and do for others. I don't want anything back. The genuine lover actually doesn't want anything back. It's sort of, Vivekananda says, give and do not look back. The one who looks back, his ocean dwindles to a drop. Do not look back. When you do not look back, you have an ocean behind you, an ocean of giving. And you begin to realize our infinite capacity for giving internally. It's a great thing to have. Swami Vivekananda, he says, what we are talking about, non-duality, Advaita, and this unconditional love, he says this way: let all vision cease, or if you cannot, dream but truer dreams, which are unconditional love and service free. We are living in a world of dreams, mostly nightmares. Most of our dreams, if you look back, if you remember, just after waking up, they are usually just like mental chatter, meaningless, garbage basically. Not harmful, not particularly useful either, except to a therapist. Some of the dreams are nightmares. So our life, the life is a network of dreams in which we have mostly, we're spinning our wheels, repeating the same patterns all over again and again. Mixture of pleasure and pain. Or sometimes it's a lot of pain. Nightmares. So Vivekananda says, if you cannot break free of all of this, if you cannot become enlightened right now, and we have to say, I can't. It's too difficult. In that case, he says, he gives us this best philosophy of life, the highest, noblest, and practical philosophy of life. He says, if you cannot stop dreaming, then dream but truer dreams, better dreams. Dream a better dream. What's a better dream? What's the best possible dream? Unconditional love and service free. Give love without expecting. Does not matter how people take it or react to you. And serve freely. Okay. You asked a question about safety. I'll conclude with that. Safety is important. It's practical. Why? Until you are practically a saint who doesn't care about his or her physical well-being, material well-being, until we are that, until that point we are on the journey. We have not completed the journey. And we need a little bit of safety. Sri Ramakrishna says a fence is built around the sapling. You put a sapling in the ground and build a fence around it. Otherwise the goats and cows, if you're in India, they'll come and eat up the sapling. We have the sapling of spirituality in our lives now. It's just beginning. It's budding. You need to protect it. There are people who will ruin it because we are not strong enough to resist. The people. So Sri Ramakrishna gives the example of the snake who was here. The snake who would bite. And once a mendicant, he says a brahmachari, a spiritual traveler, comes along. And the people of the place say, don't go there, sir. There's a snake, vicious cobra which bites. And he says, it doesn't matter. I have a mantra which will, mesmerize the snake. And the snake comes hissing to bite. And this novice, he uses his mantra and the snake becomes like a verb. And the novice says, and this mendicant, the spiritual traveler, he says to the snake, why are you so vicious? Why do you bite? I'll give you a mantra. You repeat this mantra. It'll take you to enlightenment. You'll become enlightened and realize God. And he gives him the mantra, and the snake is very overcome and says, sir, what must I do? Well, repeat the mantra and don't bite anybody. Don't bite and don't be vicious. And then he says, I'll come back. And he goes away. And the people of the neighborhood, they begin to see the snake has changed its nature. It's no longer hissing, no longer threatening, until one of the mischievous shepherd boys picks up the snake by its tail and swings it around and smashes it on the ground. And they think that the snake is dead. The snake somehow at night, it crawls back into its hole. It's injured, but it lives, and it come out rarely because it was afraid of the shepherd boys. And a year later, the brahmachari, the spiritual traveler, is back, and he says, "Where's that snake?" "Oh, we think it's dead." "It can't be dead. It can't die before attaining enlightenment. I've given it a powerful mantra. Let me go." And he calls out, and hearing the voice of his guru, the snake crawls out of the hole. I'm literally telling you the detailed story as narrated by Sri Ramakrishna. And then the guru, the spiritual traveler, he says to the snake, "Why are you so thin?" He said, "Oh, because, I have been subsisting on roots and fruits and..." No, that's not it. There's something else that happened. Finally, the snake thought, and oh yes, once those mischievous boys, they had dashed me on the ground and I got hurt. And it has become so non-violent. It had no anger in the mind. Didn't remember, with a feeling of revenge or grudge against those mischievous boys. Then the guru, he said, "What a fool you are! I told you not to bite. Did I tell you not to hiss? So, the point being, safety is important for a long period. That's why we have monasteries, you had convents for nuns, you have ashrams, you have communities, spiritual communities, churches, so that like-minded people who are devout, who want spiritual growth, can be together in a community. It's a protection. And one must not be unwise. How wise a person is when they're building up their business. How wise and careful a person is when they are raising a family, when they have something to protect. Well, you have something to protect. The greatest treasure there is, which is spirituality. One must be wise. Don't bite, but don't forget to hiss also. Unconditional love, if you proclaim it on your Facebook status, there'll be a lot of the immediate people who will take advantage of unconditional love will be very unspiritual and nasty people. You say, I need some unconditional love, so sign me over all your property or money or whatever it is. No. One must be wise there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
One more.
This question is from Preeti Singh. I have become confused about what is the real meaning of jada in Advaita.
Jada, yes.
Excuse me. Is it that substance has existence but not consciousness? Is it all drishya, in which case the drashta is consciousness? But by this rationale, even the mind, when it perceives the eyes, is conscious in that transaction? Or is it that which does not have independent existence, which means all except Brahman is jada?
Okay. The word...
A bit more.
Yes.
Is the sentient being without self-realization jada or conscious? What is the real meaning of jada?
All right. The word jada in Sanskrit and many Indian languages, it just means insentient. Often it is taken to mean non-living. There are two words, chetana, jada. Chetana means conscious and jada means not conscious. Sentient, insentient. And that's a word used in day-to-day language also in India. Jada means something that is inert, non-moving, non-living. Chetana means alive, conscious, and all that. When we read biology as school kids, we would be asked to distinguish, give 5 points of distinction between living and non-living. And then we would give those 5 points, and then we would be told how the virus shares both. That's how we were taught at school. In Vedanta, the distinction is not so much between living and non-living as between conscious and not conscious, awareness and not awareness, between awareness and object. So, straight away, the Vedantic or Sankhyan analysis, when we look at our own experience, classify whatever appears to you, whatever is experienced as jada, as object. Whatever is experienced is an object. To what? To you, the consciousness. You, the self and consciousness, we are taking as one. So, to consciousness, everything is an object. Whatever appears, whatever we see, hear, smell, taste, touch, is object. But even whatever we think about, thoughts, memories, ideas, sensations, feelings, emotions, they are also objects because they are equally jada, because they are appearing to consciousness. This is an analysis. That's not common sense. This is an analysis. This analysis will force us back to our nature as consciousness and cleanse that consciousness nature of all object. That's the purpose of this analysis. In our understanding, everything that we experience is jada, is an object. Why is it jada? Because it's an object. As the professor Arindam Chakravarti humorously put it, an object is anything that objects to your consciousness. And think about your consciousness as a field spreading out, and it runs up against this, sounds, taste, forms, ideas, feelings, even the subtlest thoughts. They're all objects. They're objecting to your consciousness. That's why you experience them. It runs up against them. That's one way of thinking. So jada is anything that's an object. Now let's look at the questions. The first one.
Is it that substance has existence but not consciousness?
Yes. Now, here's the question. I am conscious and I'm aware of things. And things seem to exist. Now, here's the thing, that those things seem to have existence. And I exist, and I also have consciousness. I am conscious of things. The things exist, they seem to have existence, but they don't seem to have consciousness. Only I seem to have consciousness. Now, the problem here is, according to Vedanta, the ultimate reality is existence, consciousness, bliss. So anything that is real must display all these things that, being and awareness and a pleasing or fulfilling nature. So can it be possible that these things have existence but no consciousness? Vedanta answers them at different levels. One is, yes, there are certain names and forms, this one for example, which manifests existence. It seems to exist, but does not manifest consciousness. There are certain names and forms, like your mind, my mind, which not only exists, manifests existence, but also consciousness. So a conscious existence is manifested there. The language used in Vedanta is borrowing. There is an ultimate reality, which is being. And this name and form borrows being from that ultimate reality. That's why it seems to exist. So that's one level of analysis. If you go to a deeper level of analysis, we'll see that, no, even these things do not have existence. What has existence is that one consciousness experiencing these things. You have existence, and you have consciousness, or you are existence consciousness. And whatever appears to you in this field of existence consciousness, which is you, appears to exist. But that existence is borrowed from you, much like a dream. In a dream, you experience everything as existing. But when you wake up, you feel those things, you realize those things were nothing but me, the dreamer. Their existence was my existence. So that's the answer to the question. Do the objects, substances, have existence but not consciousness? You can say they borrow existence but not consciousness because that's the nature of those names and forms. Or you can go deeper. They have neither consciousness nor existence. They appear in existence consciousness and they appear to exist. The second question.
Is it all drishya, in which case the drashta is consciousness? But by this rationale, even the mind, when it perceives the eyes, is conscious in that transaction.
Right.
Oh.
The second question that she has asked is, her main question was, what is jada? What is the nature of the inert entity? So all objects of perception, drishya means all objects of experience. So just being an object of experience, is that what is meant by jada? In that case, the experiencing mind, for example, the mind is the observer of the world, or the eyes. Through the eyes it experiences the world. The world becomes an object of experience, the mind is the experiencer, then the mind will become conscious. The answer is yes, but mind is not ultimately conscious. The same principle of borrowing. The mind can borrow not only existence, but also consciousness. Just like your mind in the dream. You are dreaming, you've forgotten yourself. Then you are a person in your own dream, and that person has a mind of its own. Yeah. That mind has borrowed its light and existence from the dreamer. Similarly here, look at the mind. The mind here not only exists, my thoughts exist, ideas exist, they also feel very conscious. So they have borrowed existence and consciousness from me, the pure consciousness. What's the third question?
Is it that which does not have independent existence, which means all except Brahman is jada?
Ultimately, it comes to this. That which does not exist by itself is jada. Or they are coeval. All that is object, insentient, is all that does not have independent existence, and that's another term for mithya or falsity. That which is jada, which is object, which does not have independent existence, is also false. False in the sense it's an appearance. Appearance does not mean a non-existent. Appearance does not mean that you cannot use them. You can use them. In a virtual reality, you can use stuff. In the world of appearances, you can use stuff. There's a chair or there's a table, I can put the microphone on the table. I can speak through the microphone and you can hear me. You can use stuff. Technology will work. Science will work. In the world of appearances, everything works. Yeah. So, yes, that's what it ultimately amounts to. Jada is equal to mithya in Advaita, in standard Advaita theory. Yeah. Can we do one more?
This is from Renato Billo. Very dear Swami, the world appears in Chit through Maya. What is the relationship between Chit and Maya? How can Maya be inherent to Chit? We hope to hear from you on this profound matter.
Oh, another very difficult question. I won't go deep into it because it's centuries of debate on this. Like this question you asked, it all comes down to Maya. One monk, in exasperation, he said, it's useless asking questions to the Advaitins. It's either all Brahman or all Maya. Yeah. Anything they can't answer is Maya. And what they can answer is Brahman. What is the relationship of Maya to Brahman? Or Chit means consciousness. What is the relationship? So consciousness, you are saying, appears as this word. Why? How? And the answer given is either Maya, that's Maya. Sri Ramakrishna would say Nitya and Leela, the absolute and the play. The absolute is what it truly exists, and this play also exists. This is the play of the absolute, what we experience here. But this is mediated through Maya. And what is the relationship of Maya to Brahman or to Chit? That's pretty easy in the dualistic philosophies. Because in those philosophies, the ultimate reality or God or consciousness or whatever it is, it has attributes. And one of those attributes is Maya. Maya is the power of consciousness, Shakti. But that won't do in Advaita Vedanta. Advaita Vedanta is non-duality. So when you say Chit and Shakti or Brahman and Maya, it seems to be two. You're using two words after all. And the two seem to fulfill two different functions. One is existence, consciousness, bliss. The other one is projecting the one into the many. So they seem to be two different things. Or at least if you say, no, it's the same thing. Brahma Shakti Abhed, Sri Ramakrishna would say. Brahman and Shakti are non-different. They cannot be differentiated. Fire and its power to burn, they cannot be differentiated. But in that case, it creates problems for Advaita Vedanta because although it's still one, but that one becomes something with quality. Not nirguna anymore, with quality. What Advaita Vedanta, you have to understand, they are very monomaniacal about ontology, that there is only one reality. So Advaita Vedanta will say Brahman is the one reality, and Maya is an appearance in that reality. It is not a countable second, nor is it a characteristic of Brahman, but it serves to explain the world of appearance. Since the world of appearance is a world of appearance, you don't have to give an ontological basis to it. Ontologically, it still remains one. So this is a question in the relationship between the one and the many. If you see in Indian philosophy, a wide range of answers has been proposed. There are theories like Vishishtadvaita, Bheda schools of Vedanta, which say there is an ultimate reality, call it God or Brahman, and Brahman or God has this power, Maya, Shakti, which either Maya itself transforms into this world. It's a real power of God, so the world is also real. Or with the power of Maya, Brahman itself transforms into this world. In any case, that is one way of looking at it. There's a real creation of the universe. That's one whole range of theories. There are many variations of this. The problem with this approach is you're making the absolute changeable. And if it's a real change, then the world is very much real. Then sin and suffering and destruction, these are all absolutely real. And God is also real, but you're putting out that reality at the same footing. It is not a greater or deeper reality than this world in that case. So those questions will come up. There are variations, ways of going around it. The Kashmiri Shaivism, for example, their approach is that they introduce a spanda theory, vibration. So this whole universe is a vibration of that non-dual reality, vibration of Shiva. So they see this world of experience as a living, pulsating continuum. Even then, logically, the Advaitin is a stickler for logic. You say, so still, vibrating, ultimate reality is vibrating, huh? Is that vibration a matter of, is it an objective experience or non-objective? Once you fall into that Advaita dialectic, you'll be crushed. If you say it's an objective experience, that it can be experienced, of course you're experiencing it, then it's an object. Then it's not pure consciousness. It belongs to the world of objects. If you say, no, it isn't, it's a characteristic of the absolute. If it's non-objective, it's not experienceable, why speak of it at all? Why call it vibration? And look at your own experience of consciousness. Does consciousness seem to vibrate, or do the objects in consciousness seem to vibrate? Vibration is always change, objective. Anyway, it's not meant for a critique of Kashmiri Shaivism. So that's another theory. Whereas the Advaitic approach is that you are this limitless pure consciousness without any attribute. And this world of limits, attributes appears in you. Why it appears? Ultimately, that question also should not be asked, because causality is also part of this world of appearance. You, the absolute, are not causally linked to this world. You, the consciousness, have no reference to time, space, and object. This is a very profound statement. See, when you are saying give an explanation of the many in terms of the one, you've already assumed that the many and the one are causally linked. But what if causality itself is part of the appearance? Then you cannot interrogate the absolute from the perspective of the appearance. The absolute remains safe from causality. That's what is Advaita Vedanta's ultimate position. If you still are not satisfied, no, why all this? Then Gaudapada's answer, Devasya Esha Swabhavoyam. It is the very nature of that shining consciousness. This is the shining forth of the consciousness. This is what it is. There is no why link. The why link is always within the appearance. Cause and effect. You, that consciousness, formless, limitless. Even consciousness, I'm using as a word. It has no reference to time. Hence, really speaking, it is not eternal. It has no reference to space. Hence, really speaking, it is not all-pervasive. It has no reference to object. Hence, really speaking, it's not even non-dual. These are all approaches we are making from our perspective. The final thing we can say is non-duality. That has to be abandoned once you have got... It might seem very esoteric. It isn't. It's you. If you think it's too complicated, well, blame yourself. You are that reality. It's not complicated. It's utterly simple. It's complicated because trying to relate two things which cannot be related. And need not be. And must not be. What do you do then? Enjoy. Have fun. Have fun. This universe is fun. I'll end with this. Vivekananda, an American lady it was in California. They were camping by the huge redwood trees in Northern California. A group of American devotees and disciples. One of them said to Vivekananda, "So Swami, this world is like a school where we come as school kids to learn our lessons." And he said, "Whoever told you that? Madam, we are like clowns. We come and tumble in this world and have a roaring time of it all." Then lady was surprised. She had never heard this. He said, "Swami, but why do we tumble?" "Because we like to tumble, madam." It's all fun. But all fun even in suffering, not other people's suffering. My own suffering also, I should be able to see it internally as great fun. Then only I can honestly say this. It's not very difficult to dismiss other people's suffering. That's cruelty. But one must rise above that. Then that person will have great love and compassion for all, and will be able to help others also beyond this ocean of samsara. Let me do the peace chant. They'll come forward with the basket. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.